I'd like to call this meeting of Select Board to order, please. This meeting is being recorded by Zoom for the purpose of taking minutes in DCTV. I'd like to all those who are able to stand up for the pledge. Mr. Boyle, would you?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome our newest member of the Select Board, Mr. Collins. And Jennifer, would you do a roll call, please?
Sure. Robert Collins.
Here.
Dan Esco.
Here.
John Will.
Here.
Chairperson Bob Bishop.
Here.
Mike Stratton.
No, Mark's here. He's sitting in the audience right now.
Oh, okay. And Tom Mitchison.
Hi. Here.
Okay. All right, number 4, first thing on the agenda, minutes of January 13th, 2025.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the Monday, January 13th, 2025 meeting minutes as presented.
Bob. Do the honor, second one.
That's second.
Jump right in here. No, Bob, no.
Oh, he wasn't here.
I wasn't here. Oh. Well, you still second it, that's not a vote for it.
All right, I'll second that.
Right. There you go. You jump started right away.
Motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Any corrections? All those in favor?
Aye.
And one abstention. I said it.
Yep.
Public address the board. This is time when the public may address the board on any item listed on the meeting agenda or any issue or matter of the town. If you intend on addressing the board at the time, we ask you to do the following. Please identify yourself by name, address, or the company or institution you represent. The public address to the board segment will last no longer than 30 minutes. Each individual will be given 3 minutes. Please make your comments concise and try not to repeat statements made by others. Please address your comments to the board chair. Discussion or debate on any issue may not take place at this time. The chair or the designee may answer questions on procedural matters. Please be cordial and respectful of others. Please be cordial and respectful of others. If anyone wishes to be recognized when the board discusses an agenda item, please make that request at this time. The board chair may grant this request, address comments to the board chair, and be concise. We are meeting in person and making this meeting available via Zoom for the convenience of the public. Since we are meeting in person, we will not be responsible for any technical difficulties. So if you would like to be sure of participating, please attend in person. Okay, number 6. Appointment ratifications. Mr. Hutchinson.
Mr. Chair, I am very pleased that we have with us this evening a Mr. Corey Wells. If you can come forward as our new building and grounds assistant to assist Jeff in his duties.
Cool.
Just say hello to the board, that would be great.
Hi, Corey, welcome aboard.
Yes, welcome aboard.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the appointment of Corey Wells as Building and Grounds Assistant effective February 11th, 2025, pending the outcome of the pre-employment physical and drug screen.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you, board. Thank you.
Thank you for doing it.
Excuse me. You flew right by the citizen comment period. I wanted to make a comment.
Okay, go ahead.
First, these meetings are getting large enough that I'm not sure everybody in the back can hear. So I had a mic for the next meetings.
Why don't you come up here?
Well, I can hear, but I know that there's some people probably that can't hear, so I can't hear me. So I want to recommend that. I've been attending the Citizens Emergency Response Team meetings, which started Wednesday nights over at the firehouse. It's from 6 to 8 o'clock, and they need volunteers. Go with similar people there. I think it should be better advertising than I'm saying that everybody's all welcome. Make it fun to hand, prevent the disaster. When our EMS people could be overwhelmed. And this is happening nationally, and CQRT, as they call it, in many locations, and we're now having one bigger.
Henry, send me that information. I'll get it on our announcements.
Okay, we just contact our emergency manager and our assistant
Okay,
emergency
yeah,
manager.
sure.
We can try and get that, and I see they're here right now. When the board goes into executive session, it would be too much to ask to make a statement of what the general topic is and why it's executive session.
It usually is.
Really?
Yeah.
Announced, when I go to meetings, I usually hear, all right, we're going to executive session.
Oh, there's reasons right here.
This is the bottom of the
Just
agenda.
listen to
On the
that.
agenda, when we get to the topic, I'll make the motion and read the agenda item for the public record. But a lot of people usually file out of the meeting by the time that comes around as well, so maybe, I don't know. If you stay for the whole meeting, you will hear it, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Thank you. And I just want to make this comment. I was at the last meeting. I'm surprised that none of you issued an apology to our clerk. Has everyone?
That's not true. Yes.
Excuse me, Jean Chambers, Sunnyside Drive. The last meeting, you asked for people who wanted to comment on each item. So I do want to comment on one of the items. I don't have a comment right now.
Okay, which one, Gene?
Not,
Okay.
okay?
Tony?
Yes. Hi, Bob. Thank you. I'm here tonight to thank the board and to recognize them. And later this week, I'll be going to the school committee and also thanking them. And I'll give a shout out to the Windsor Select Board also. It was nearly 2 years ago I came before the board and asked for your endorsement for the Fair Share Amendment. And for those of you that may not be too familiar with that, that was a ballot initiative created via a coalition of groups in the state, Mass Teachers Association in particular, did this over a course of many years. Fair Share Amendment is a surtax on incomes over $1 million taxed at 4%. The estimate this year is that $2.5 billion will be raised. That money is going to be dedicated to roads, bridges, highways in the state, and to higher education, or I should say public education, including higher education. Dalton's Chapter 90 funding this year is up 60%, or $130,000 plus. Berkshire County municipalities will receive over $5 million for roads, highways, and bridges. It's been known for some time now that community college is free for those who qualify. Monies have come from the Fair Share Amendment. I'm looking now to see just how much money Central Berkshire will receive, but it will be in excess of hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's for the foundational or operating budget. It's not inclusive of the transportation budget, which has never been funded over the years. We have the largest district in the state. So I hope our legislature will see that we're deserving of 100% funding as the original compact in the 1960s called for. Lastly, I just want to mention our governor came out with an additional $125 million for infrastructure that will be devoted to higher education. We'll create 15,000 construction jobs, which is much needed. So again, I want to thank the board. This is a major relief for the taxpayers, the homeowner, the property owner, and it will be felt around the state.
Thank you, Tony. Okay, Mark?
Speak on number 9.
Yep.
Yeah, so please.
Yes. Hey, Chief. Okay, anyone else? Max?
Hi, my name is Maxine Cadro. I live in South Street in Dalton. I was here for my wife. I was pleasantly surprised in the last few weeks that the little machine that cleans off the sidewalks came all the way down on that sidewalk that was not built on South Street and cleared the road because people don't clear their own sidewalk. And so it's happened in the last couple of weeks, and we appreciate it and hope it continues. We noticed that we used to just be in the center of town, and things up on the top of the street, and we're pretty busy on South Street and people walking all the
yeah.
time, and a lot of children, and we really appreciate it, so I just want to let you know that.
Thank you, that's good to hear. Way in the back.
I guess I'd like to speak on number 11.
And you are?
Being Santos.
Okay. Notes. Okay, Mr. Hudson, continue.
Yes, although I don't see him, I don't think he was able to make it here tonight. I think you all know Patrick Carcel, and he has volunteered to work on the Traffic Commission.
Just before the meeting, Mr. Carousel called me and said he expressed his regret that he couldn't be here this evening to accept this appointment. He's looking forward to it, but him and his wife are both very ill, and they prefer to stay home. But he is looking forward to serving on the Traffic Commission.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the appointment of Patrick Carcel to the Traffic Commission effective February 11th, 2025 through June 30th, 2025.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thanks, Pat.
And finally, I am pleased to present the name of Levi Renderer as a interim Finance Committee member. Again, I don't believe he was able to be here tonight. I have spoken with him at length and believe that he will be a great addition to the Finance Committee.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the appointment of Levi Renderer to the Finance Committee effective February 11th, 2025 through May 12th, 2025, the annual town election.
Second.
Second it, John?
Yeah.
Okay. Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Number 7. Chief, you want to do that?
Sure.
Okay, right here.
Which one?
If I stand here, maybe. So I'm just going to read a commendation for Officer Chelsea Eichstead. On February 4th, 2025, you were dispatched to a call for a 39-year-old man choking. Upon your arrival, you were able to apply the Heimlich maneuver and successfully cleared his airway. After speaking with the mother of the patient, she relayed the following to me. Her son has Down syndrome, and not only did you successfully save him from choking, it was the way you went about it she was most appreciative of. You spoke with him on his level and informed him about everything you were going to do. You even told him you were going to give him a big hug so he would understand what it would feel like. According to his mom, she was so grateful because you treated him as a person. While responding to this call, not only did you handle yourself with professionalism and confidence, you used empathy and kindness to add to your successful resolution. Thank you for going above and beyond to provide first aid, as well as kindness to a choking victim. Your actions set a great example of professionalism as well as empathy for the Dalton Police Department. With pride and gratitude, please accept this letter of commendation and the life-saving award for your actions on February 4th, 2025.
I'd like to move number 9 up next, if nobody objects. Okay. Mr. Hutchinson, you want to do that one?
Yes, as you know, when a student wants to transfer from from the Central Berkshire region to a technical school, we get notified, and the process is that the select board has to approve the transfer. Typically, this board has been very accommodating in its transfers to technical school, and I don't see any reason why we shouldn't approve this current application.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, people want to speak on that? Jeannie, did you want to speak on that? Go ahead.
I have a couple of questions of the select board, and anybody else who might have the answer.
It seems to me, since I've been around a long time, that we used to have an article at the annual town meeting for voc ed. And I went back over 40 years, and I found nothing to that regard. So that was my first question. Does anybody remember that at all? Well, I might be the oldest one here anyway, so perhaps they don't remember. Okay, that was question one. So did this come to before the finance committee first, before it comes to you? Is that necessary for any of these finances that are being approved, like at the select board meeting?
Should have went to the finance committee also.
I'm sorry,
They should have went to the finance committee.
I should have,
No, not you.
who?
The request to see if we got funding. We have funding for this.
I don't believe we've done that in the
We've
past.
never done it before. We always approved it.
My question is, did it go to the finance, or does it go first there?
No.
Or does it-
No.
Okay, that was my question. I'm not challenging, I'm asking. Next question. Are there other students attending vocational schools from Dalton?
Yes.
Okay, how many would that be? Could you tell me?
I don't have the answer to that right now. We can get you the answer to that.
Is anyone else applying at this time for this, for money?
No.
Okay, do we have an amount that we're recommending?
We do not have a specific amount for the tuition. I will assume that it would be prorated, and so it would make much less of an effect now. We did have one student in the fall who we also allowed to make this switch. Typically, we give great deference to the wishes of the parents in these situations.
Okay, so would this be just for the rest of the school year, or is it for the next, how many years? Okay, okay. Just that question, that's all I was wondering.
Okay. Thank you.
Nobody has the answer.
So the vocational education is a line item in the general town budget. So it wouldn't be voted on separately, but it's part of the total operating budget.
Oh, it's in there?
It's in, yes.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, I think my question is mostly at the answer.
And my understanding is this is an application for the remainder of the school year.
Okay.
Although I think once accepted, wouldn't they have the option to continue?
Yes.
Yes, and I would expect
Yeah.
a student.
They would have the option to continue, subject to appropriation.
But we appropriate every year at town meeting, the voters, those funds.
Wrong place, thank you.
And if I may make one additional comment, it's always a little difficult to gauge the budget of the vocational schools because the students don't have to make up their minds or aren't supposed to make up their minds until September of that year. So we've already voted the budget in May, and sometimes we do have to adjust at the annual town meeting for the prior year's expenses.
So this is never included in the Central Berkshire Regional School District, their monies. It's not included in that, obviously.
Not the regional school district.
No, not the regional, no.
Okay. Questions answered, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Davis?
Just for any concern about the, my kids were born in Dalton, went to Dalton schools all the way up until graduation to high school. And, our school department has other vocational schools that have been there. My kids did go to Smith Vocational for the last 4 years of school.
Thank you.
Just want to put it out there.
Okay. Mark, do you want to speak?
Mark Stroud, 31 Goodline Dodge. Appreciate the consideration for the state transfer. Thank you.
Deanna, did you want to speak?
Is that a question, my student is in Nessus, and I was told that there's typically a waiting list. So does the town approve every student that wants to go? And is there a waiting list, or how does that work?
Go ahead, Tom.
The town's approval is necessary for the parents to take the next step of enrolling their student in the school. And I am unsure of all of that process, but I do know that it's necessary for the town to approve the transfer for that process to move forward at all.
I was told there's typically a waiting list and that not all the kids will get in. So I'm just trying to navigate this with my students at Masochist and considering it.
And the waiting lists vary by school. I'm not currently aware of the waiting list situation at Taconic.
But my question is, does the town approve all students that are interested in going to vocational school?
Normally, the town doesn't have to approve it. It's done within the system. But when there is a late transfer, anytime from say September on, the town would approve, the parents would have to go through the town to have that application approved to be forwarded to the school.
So say, for example, if my child doesn't make it and is in the waiting list, I can then come to the select board and ask you guys to approve it in the middle of the semester?
The waiting list is at the school level. All we're doing is saying the parents can now work with the school to enroll their child. If there's a waiting list, that's on the school's end. We don't have that, that's not part of our decision-making process. That's something for the parents to consider. If there's more you can add, that would be great.
Is it okay?
Yeah.
So just to clarify, we did apply to Taconic for Cameron. She was accepted by Taconic. Central Berkshire also accepted that transfer, and it has to come here for approval. And while we love Wacona, and it's an amazing school and amazing teachers, we appreciate everything at Wacona, she just needs a little bit of a different vocational avenue at this point. And we're very grateful that we have been accepted into the program, and just this is our final step. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that clarification.
Thank you.
Good.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the application for vocational transfer to Taconic High School as presented.
Second.
Okay, the motion's been made second. Is there any further?
I've got a question.
Yeah.
Will this set a precedent for, as the lady in the back of the room, every time a student, say mid-semester, mid-school year wants to go to another school, is it gonna set a precedence that they're gonna try to come to the select board to try to, they didn't sign up early in the year, come to the select board and then try to,
No, we have one or two once in a while.
once, okay, so this is, we aren't setting precedents here.
No, it's been done
You still
before.
need to apply and get accepted. So that you can come to the select board.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Okay. Don?
School choice, isn't it?
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, we support that, and
for sure.
so there's no reason to hold up a student's transfer to a vocational school, in my opinion. So I don't see this as an issue personally, but I'll support it. And
I support it too. Okay, all those in favor?
aye.
Opposed? Okay. Okay. Okay, next. FY '26 budget planning and presentations.
Okay, Yanko, if you would come up and present the account number 175, Planning and Board of Appeals Budget.
Oh, I have-
First one?
I have it.
If you wanted to have a seat, you could pull it up to the tables there.
Sure.
How are you tonight?
I'm good. How are you?
Hi, Yanko.
You doing? How was the board?
Good.
Good, thank you.
How's it going for you?
It's going so far, so good.
Good.
Any comments?
No, it's pretty much the same as last year. Was a renewal of the subscription. I tried to narrow it down as much as I could. Fortunately, the lady I spoke with was unable to give me a specific price quote, and all she said is prices are subject to change. So I wanted to make sure that so I'm keeping that the same as last year. That's how much it cost last year. So in case there's any change in price for the renewal, it goes through without a hitch.
And then on top of that, there are some additional features in the program that sometimes do require payment, which may or may not get used, depending on what the situation is. But it's always good to have a little bit extra in there in case that's needed for the GIS software.
I'm not seeing an increase of any extra. That looks level funded.
Yes.
Yes, correct. Yes, I didn't. Sorry, if I misspoke. And there's no increase in the budget in that sense.
Okay, great.
And the salaries are the COLA adjustment and the step increase. TA for me.
Well, just one question. Sure. The format of this is a little confusing, Mr. Town Manager. It mentions the Board of Appeals and so forth and so on, and the planning board. It's a separate department he's in. He is the town planner. This is the budget for the town planner, not the Board of Appeals or zoning, planning board, right?
If the planning board or Board of Appeals had expenses, they would come from this budget.
Would that come from their own budget?
This is their budget. This is
So there's one budget now
The
for all
planet-
three instead of
planning
three separate
board,
ones?
Board of Appeals. That's how it's been since I've been here.
Really? Okay,
Yeah.
right?
If I may.
Good.
So, John, to speak to your concerns, so the planning board, so the budgets for the planning board and ZBA or Board of Appeals, as we call it, we switch between the two. And the reason why I think there really isn't a budget for that is the fact that the applicant is paying the cost usually. So the ad, the certified mail, the, what else is there? Certified mail, legal posting, and there is one other thing, and then the filing fees, the assessor's list, and of course, just my time to do it. That is all paid by the applicant when they submit their application. So that covers the cost.
What you're saying is the zoning board of appeals and the planning board have no expenses.
Yes, as of now, that makes sense.
So it's all been lumped into one. Thank you.
If a member of the planning board wanted to attend some professional or technical training, it would come from this budget.
Okay.
I got one, Bob. I'm also on the planning board. You just put in a raise, right, for cost of services to the people that submit plans too. So that helps your cost, because at one time, I believe that sometimes it wasn't covering some of the expenses, so we went up on the price of their services that were provided by the town. So when someone brings in, it was not, you were losing money. I mean, it was costing the town money to put out these planning board appointments. So at one of the meetings, they raised the prices for fees for putting in an application.
It was individualized,
Yeah.
so that whatever.
That raises another question. Do they, these respective boards, have the authority to raise fees, or is it the select boards?
Yes, I looked in the bylaws. I don't have the exact one. I think it's 35118, but there is a bylaw that specifically designates the special permit granting authority, me, to raise, to be able to raise fees.
Fees to applicants,
Fees for the
et
applicants,
cetera. Good.
So there is a statute in our bylaw.
But couldn't make money on it, John. He can't make money on the town. He can't make money for the town doing it. But
Yeah.
Just gotta
Not
come.
like a liquor license.
no.
Oh, geez, I'm shocked.
And that is a separate account. That account that the fees go into and that the ads are paid out of is a separate account from this.
Good.
Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Yanko.
You're welcome. Thank you. Okay, TA enforced.
TA.
Yeah, TA.
Thank you.
199, the Green Committee. Starts. Dave, yeah. Max?
I'm moving this, and obviously, we can just look at, we got planning board of appeals, 199 Green Committee, Board of Building Department, 424 streetlights, and Council on Aging. What is that in charge for, for example, 424 streetlights, what's that about?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you, Max.
424 streetlights, what's that about? Why is that on there? 424 streetlights. That's the account number.
It's the account number for our street light, our budget for streetlights for the electricity.
Not yet.
We're not talking about it yet, though.
We will.
No, no, let me just-
I found recently that a lot of the streetlights that we do have, they don't make any sense to have a light there. It's just like a bare road, nothing there, there's no house there, no buildings. And I mean, we're gonna save some money if we look at that on streetlights. We're all looking to save money, okay, so, we just recently, we're driving around.
Okay, Ness, we'll address that when we get to that. Okay, yeah.
we should hold comments.
Yeah, hold comments on that till we get to the bulk of that one, okay?
I think the best thing would be to certainly save comments for when we get to all town meeting, when anyone can talk about any budget item.
Okay, so we're talking about that.
We're not generally gonna get into, public comments on each of these budgets, I don't believe.
Just a copy, just a, yeah, a comment on it because I just save money to be better option.
Okay, thanks,
Thank
man.
you. And we're happy to get your suggestions by email at the town manager's office.
Okay.
So, back to Green Dalton Committee.
Yes.
Budget.
Any questions?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Brother.
If I can speak briefly, I didn't intend to speak with David, couldn't be here today, didn't go this week as I could share. But pretty much, we reduced advertising from 2,000 to 200 since we were initiated the climate action plan. That isn't a cost per se, a slight increase in conferences, since our members are attending more conferences. And also engineering services appear in terms of hopefully grant writing or proposals to help the town to save money in terms of energy.
Certainly went down, so we appreciate that. TA?
TA.
Yeah.
Okay. $240, Building Department. Brian?
Yes, Brian was unable to be here today. But was noted that the salaries are just the normal step increase with the COLA. Contingency hours went up slightly, also based on the pay rate. And then expenses have gone up slightly, and I'm sorry, expenses went down
Down by
slightly. Not sure why that's not adding at the bottom.
Yeah,
You want to bring this one back to us?
yeah, bring this
With
back.
corrections?
Oh, the FY '25 budget figure
That's incorrect.
is not correct. So that should be 8,600. And so there is a reduction of $550.
Right.
Okay.
And if there's anything different about that, I will bring it back.
Okay. Well, based on that clarification, TA.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, 424, streetlights.
Yes, and this budget was created by Alyssa. Would you care to just make a comment or two about it?
Sandy went over this budget with me and how to produce it. We worked on this together, and this is what we came up with, a slight decrease, so.
Well, that's good.
Good. Always good when it's less. TA?
TA.
Okay, 541, Council on Aging. Tell again, I saw it, sorry.
Hello.
Oh, again.
Happy to be back. So, my budget is pretty unremarkable. It's all the standard things. I did want to mention that the janitorial services down in expenses is quite high to have them come in 3 times a week. And then, I went up a little bit on the electricity because we used a lot of electricity last year. Those were the only changes in expenses. All the rest are the changes in salaries.
Any questions? TA?
Note that we have a third driver that we didn't have in the last year's budget, which is driving the majority of the change. Right,
Correct.
12,000.
Although we still don't have a third driver, my
Budgeted.
We have this.
Yes, don't actually have the
I
driver.
have a driver. Problem is everybody uses cannabis now and they can't drive
No.
a van. Because it's FDA, so,
Okay.
you know, it's federally funded, so.
That's right, too. Yeah.
And that is just for 8 hours a week.
Yeah, okay. Well, I wish you luck in finding that third driver and TA on the budget. Thank you so much, Gus.
TA.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kelly.
Thank you.
Thank you for everything you do. Okay. Communications, 222. Gabby, here, there you go.
Yep.
Evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So we are pretty much status quo. I have my step in my 2%, like the rest of the town employees. The dispatchers, I believe, I have not gotten any final number or final contract, are going up approximately 5.5%. I don't know. That hasn't, but that was what I plugged in. My expenses went down my glasses, $1,600. So it's about 7% increase, and most of that is just gonna be the salaries.
You're fully staffed, everything's going
We
on.
are fully staffed.
Good.
and It's
Good.
been going well.
Okay.
Yeah, would,
Yeah. Yeah,
TA, thank you.
thank you.
all right.
Okay, 295, emergency management.
Evening, everybody.
Hello.
Good evening.
Good. See you again.
Doing well.
Good to see you.
Give me with the phone. I lost my folder.
That's all right. You want this one?
No. I'm good. Yeah, as I'm sure you have in front of you, the small narrative and the very small budget.
Yep.
The increases were the COLA increase of the 2%. I'm looking to pretty much level fund other things. Just clean up a little bit of the language in the narrative portion, actually on the budget. Doing very exciting things with CERT. That was an unsolicited comment. Very appreciative of it.
Yeah. Thank you for everything you're doing.
Yeah, it's Morgan's baby. The assistant emergency management director. Been her baby for quite a while.
Appreciate it because we need you.
sir.
We need you bad.
Do you do any grants? Are you functioning off any grants or?
We do have access to grants, and I believe we're still pending 1 or 2. We expect them to come through. That's the.
The Emergency Management Planning Grant is an annual grant that helps pay for our Code Red, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
Maybe,
Yeah,
we
go
also are eligible for a CCP grant with the search program.
Yeah.
It should be up to 5 grand.
And is that something you have to apply for annually?
Yes.
Okay. And do you usually get it?
We haven't been able to apply for it yet because we haven't had the team. This year, is the first year we'll be able to apply for it.
For all more important, you need some more volunteers.
Absolutely. And we can talk more about plans in the narrative at another time. If there's questions.
Yeah, good.
Sir.
Yeah.
Thank you for everything you're doing. We really
This
appreciate it.
piece of property right out here,
Yep.
the Bacon Field.
Yes, sir.
There's been a back and forth with FEMA over what's gonna happen with the redirection, rerouting, et cetera, of Walker Brook as it exits on High Street, goes down Field Street Extension, goes down Glennon Avenue, behind the houses, down to by River Run.
Yes, sir.
You have any updates on what's going on? This has been going on for years, literally.
I do not, but I will put in some research and get back to you.
Yeah, you got something for
Let me
the,
put a report.
We can talk.
yeah, you'll pass it on to us.
Yeah,
Great.
for sure. Thank you for giving that.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Thank you for everything. Again,
Thanks.
yeah.
I'll just note, this is the third community I've worked in. I tried to get CERT established in both of my other two communities and was unable to, so I think it's a really great part of a community's emergency preparedness, and I really appreciate JD and Morgan's efforts to get it going.
Yeah, thank you.
TA.
Yeah.
Great.
Thanks for coming down, guys.
Thank you very much.
Okay. 210, Police Department.
I know, this is the first time I've ever did reading glasses up here. And it hurts my soul.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Join the club.
It's terrible. I can't. She always offers them to me, and I'm like, look away. Do you guys have colored copies of this?
Black and white.
So what we did is like we color coded, which is not helpful to you, but I can go line by line. So we went back over the last several years of budgets and looked to see where we might have had a little bit of extra and we cut from those categories. So if you go down on the first page of salaries to the 210-5116, which is the reserve officers. So I cut that a little bit as we only have one reserve officer. The difficulty with budgeting for that is I contractually have to give the reserve officer certain dibs on shifts, so I do have to budget for him to work a lot of shifts. So, but we did decrease that by 10 shifts, which was a deduction of 1,166. And then we deducted a week of my vacation replacement because I had kids in college and I'm too poor to go on more than one vacation. So we changed that from 2 weeks to 1 week. Or I'm sorry, 3 weeks to 2 weeks. If that makes sense. So that saved about $758. Do you want to just ask questions of what you might have questions on? Or do you want me to go?
Go ahead, Dee.
Okay, so everything else was contractual for the most part, except for the community policing events. We were over in that account, so we upped that by $500. Because we do the light up the holidays, the buddy walk, popsicle truck, national night out, bike rodeos, dare, things like that. So we just have to plan for the increase in salary that costs. Every other category, we lowered the court pay substantially because the officers have been going to court more, but it just wasn't as much. So we lowered that from 8426 to 6163. And we also lowered the court coverage as well. That saved us a little bit. There's not a lot I can do in salary because most of it's contractual.
Right.
The call-in, we looked at that and we deducted 1,000 because we had a little bit left over in that. So we felt we weren't getting as many call-ins. So we lowered that. So we did everything we could to try to lower salary because that's the tricky one because we have to meet the contractual obligations. So page 2.
Can I ask a question on page 1?
Yes.
Just, so all your overtime, it's sort of broken out in a additional gross overtime, 263 shifts. Does that mean like one of your officers goes on vacation and you need another officer to fill the hole?
Yeah, so that's what that number is. Like basically we add up all the vacation shifts because we have to obviously fill those shifts because we run at the bare minimum.
All right.
So that's what that number
And then what does the overtime in-service coverage mean?
So that's just a different category. So because we have that mandated training that we have to attend,
So that could be called overtime training?
it's the in-service is what it's called. So it's the in-service coverage. So it's just so we can differentiate whether it's vacation or whether it's training coverage.
Gotcha.
And the additional gross overtime is increasing due to the
Salary.
contractual salary
Yeah.
increases.
Yeah.
Understood.
Does anybody have any questions on page 1? Would that be the easier way to do it?
Yes.
So page 2, and I'm sorry that you don't have the color coded. We highlighted because the sergeant's contract is not done yet, so I had to do my best to guess. I hate to say guess, but
Guess.
I did some guesstimating based on what we thought it was going to be. So the sergeant, the day shift gets an 11% shift differential to work on Sundays. They have for the entire time I've been here. The day shift sergeant accidentally got left out of that in the first negotiation 3 years ago, and he was just given 5%, so they changed that to 11 to match the patrol. So that's all that is. And then, same thing. So the overtime category here is just shift differential, so that's not actually overtime. It's
Okay.
I knew you were going to ask that. I couldn't read your mind on that.
That's why when I got this, I was like,
right.
how come she's
So
got so
this
many?
is the shift differential section. So the 3 to 11 shift gets 11%. The midnight shift gets 12%. So this is the cost of just the shift differential. So we really break it down line by line. Contractually, they have a paternity leave. So we budget for 2 of those. It's our best guess. I have a very young department, and I could be over, I could be under. So I just have to guess on that. And this is, like I said, this is all shift differential. Holiday pay, we just calculate 7 holidays on, 6 off, because that's generally how the math works out. And then we're just waiting on the sergeant's contract to be final, so we can finalize these numbers. Do you have any questions on this page?
You took my thunder.
I'm sorry. I could tell. I knew that's what you're going for. So page 3. So every year I put out an email to the officers to ask them what they're looking at for college, because contractually we have to pay them for specific degrees. And if they're going to college, I want to know when they're going to be done, what degree they're going to have. So I just make sure I can budget for that appropriately. We had budgeted for one last year that was kind of going to school, and now he's not going to school, so we took that out of the budget because there's no reason to have it if he's not going to get it. And then I have one going to school who will probably be completed with his degree by the end of next fiscal year.
So when they complete, they give this amount?
Yes.
Chief, third question. They're pursuing a degree. Do they have to pursue a degree that's relevant to the job they're performing?
So that is kind of a great question. It's supposed to be related. I think, Tom, do you guys approve that? Who approves that? It's not me. It's the town that they submit the degree.
I think you were the primary approver of that.
Because I definitely didn't with one of them. It was approved through the town. I didn't approve it, but he had that when this came into effect. So, but everybody's got one person has a degree in education, everyone else is criminal justice. So.
Everybody good?
Everything on this page is contractual. Well, if there's any questions on these. I turned down any stipends this year, any additional ones, just due to the budget. So anything that the sergeants or the officers I'm supposed to get, I turned mine down. So.
Thank you.
So our budget was a little off this year, so trying to save where we can. Is everyone good on page 3?
Yep.
Yes. So page 4 is just the total, so I don't know if anyone's got any questions.
Any questions on page 4, which is
Total?
It's just the stipends.
Total,
All right, and that's just salaries, right?
Yeah.
okay.
My expenses is next.
Okay.
We separate those. Just
Yes,
so it's
of
easier
course.
to look at. So let me know when you're ready for
Yeah.
expenses.
Everybody ready?
Everybody good?
Yep.
Okay. So page 1 of expenses, the first one is equipment repair. Again, we went through the last several years of budgeting, looked at the numbers, anything we could trim, we did. So we trimmed this one by $500. because we just had a little bit of extra left in that account, so we went down. Cruiser maintenance, that was cut by $5,000 last year. I am absolutely going to be over that this year, but we stayed in the hopes that we'll stay in that ballpark, and just hope we have a little left over in some of the other categories that it won't put us in the negative.
What are most of your maintenance issues? Just oil, lube, filter, tires, brakes?
No.
No?
It depends. I mean, it just, you never know, and knock on wood, we have one spare patrol-worthy car right now. We're due to have our brand new one that we ordered last July 1st. Might be in the rotation in the next week. It takes that long to get the car, so and we put the purchase order in the first week of July, so we didn't have that. We still don't have it in our possession. We almost might have enough cruisers to go around because I'm supposed to give the 2 K9 cars. They are supposed to have a take-home car. Sergeant Miller does not have one for Wendell because we don't have enough cars, contrary to popular belief. We do have 2 vehicles in the back that we use for details and training. They're not patrol worthy. I would never put them in patrol. They're not even equipped with the equipment they need. They just take them on details. So probably gonna have to trade one, if not both of those in next year because they're just getting to the point that it's not worth keeping them. But it's nice to have them for the details. So yeah, so that's that with the cruiser maintenance. It just depends on. We just had to replace. What did we have to? Sorry, I'm not a start roll. The catalytic converter.
What's the average mileage a cruiser puts on a year?
A year? I'm not positive on that. So what we do with our cruisers is we assign them a group. So
20,000?
22,000. So what we do is we separate the cars. So there's a group. So like an officer assigned a day shift, 3 to 11, midnight. So on the same rotation, they share that car. Because we've done a lot of research on, they put less wear and tear on it. It's the same 3 people driving it as opposed to just everybody driving it. And it gets 2 days off. So if we need maintenance, we do it on those scheduled days off. And it's not even me. So, I love that for you. I lost my train of thought. So that's with the cruiser maintenance. And then like each group is assigned 1 cruiser. So that's what we have. And the detective is using a cruiser as well. A marked cruiser. Professional training, we kept that the same. That's for any new hires or academy candidates, things like that. Our annual software, which is our IMC, that went up, as you can see, to 22,631, and that's our software that we have to have for reports and all of that. And we have the live scan that we were able to get on a grant, which is the fingerprint machine, which we are required to have. But because of the connection with IMC, they did raise our prices a bit. The data pilot is our forensic software for cell phone downloads. That's the same with the quote. The accreditation software that we use every day. We're actually about 2 weeks short of finishing all of our policy revamps, which is great. K9 software we need for the K9 unit, the police dog. We had body-worn camera audit software, and we also had field training officer software. We didn't like it, so we got rid of it, and it saved us $1,800. We can audit our own with our body cam software anyway. This just tracked them, so we just didn't like it. The guys didn't use it, so we got rid of it. The live scan maintenance agreement went up. The Blue Voice app, which we just got approved through ARPA funding, has all the general laws, our policies. We did meet, Tom and I met with a safety meeting with our Maya, and our rep said that the grant would be available to cover that. So as soon as that opens, I'll be applying for that, which should reimburse that cost. Radio service, we went down $500 based on, we had a little bit of money left last year. Cell service, based on the current times, everyone has a work phone now, because people are starting to take officers' personal phones into court, and that is not going to happen. So we have work phones for all work-related items, which a lot of departments, I know Pittsfield and Lennox, I believe Lennox, but they're all going to the same program. So purchases, we got rid of the assessment center money because If we need it, we're just gonna have to ask for a transfer. You know, assessment center is what we use for a promotional exam. And we're pretty stable with employment right now, so I would rather just ask for the transfer than put it in the budget. You know, there's $3,500 saved, so. Our breathalyzer machine went up a little bit for the warranty. Gasoline, we stayed the same, that's always our best guess. Medical, we had enough money left that we could deduct $1,000 from that. Other supplies, we deducted $1,000 because my magician here was able to get Narcan for free for us, so we don't have to pay for that anymore. So, and I can thank them for that. Ammo, we stayed the same. Anybody have any questions on that page?
Yeah, quick question.
Sure.
On maintenance.
Yeah.
Of vehicles, cruisers. When a person buys a new vehicle these days,
Mm-hmm.
it inevitably comes with a 3-year maintenance package baked into the price, of course, for oil changes and minor maintenance.
Yeah.
When you buy a new cruiser, no.
No, there's warranty for the major parts that,
Yep, for the
you
major
the
stuff.
dealer, yeah. And that's for a certain amount of mileage and time. But once, and I'll tell you, like, West has gotten our bid the last few years, and they are phenomenal about letting us know if something's under warranty and to ship it to the dealer. So they keep track of that with us, so.
And do they let you know in advance if there's a recall or stuff like that?
Yeah, we get all that notice.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions on this page? Nope. Sorry, my budget's so long, it's been most boring. So the next page, community policing expenses. This is for all our supplies that we do, that we need. Food vet, we stayed the same because we have the 2 dogs, and we just looked at the numbers, so it stayed about the same. Certification, so the officers have to go to training and get certain certifications each year. We deduct a little money from kenneling because we haven't been using it so much. And everything else below is contractual for uniform expenses, general clothing, and all the contractual uniform allowances, travel. Prisoner meals we deducted because we had a little bit of money left in that account, so we deducted $75. Well, if there's any questions on this.
What's the kenneling?
For police dog, we have to kennel it if the handler's going away and he doesn't have a family member that can take care of it.
Okay.
So,
All right.
usually he does, but.
Right.
At least.
That's you count for it.
Okay.
Any questions on that? Okay. So we are able to only go up in our expenses by 2.65%. We did the best we could to cut everything we could where we could. Like I said, we did that by comparing the last several years of what we had extra and got rid of it. So, and the salaries is contractual, so.
Any questions?
Well, definitely the largest one we've reviewed yet. Obviously, department managers and heads present a budget that they believe will meet the needs of their department, and when they come to us and say this is what we need to do our jobs, it can be difficult to argue against that. As much as we don't want to see increases in our budgets, the town is committed to cost of living adjustments, subject to our new wage scale, which, is a big part of this, as well as contractual negotiations with the unions. So it's very difficult, short of, decreasing number of officers, to actually decrease the budget.
Right.
So I do appreciate the line item, going through each line item with us. Certainly, for me, it's tough to see a $150,000 increase, but I know that you need what you need to do your job.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, that's salary for the contracts, so.
Contractually, that's most of the, if I'm looking at it right, it's mostly contractual obligations that the raises on.
Chance. We can't do
Yeah, I mean, you've got no
I
say in
tried,
it.
I went everywhere I could to cut,
Yeah.
but it just, I can't compete with that.
I'm following the stats, and the stats have greatly increased the number of traffic violations, arrests, and everything. So you
Guys
guys,
are
I appreciate
Doing a great
everything you
job.
guys are doing.
I will.
And,
Don't
yeah,
dare stop me, though.
if I can add something about the contractual agreements, I think the officers, the DPOU, did a great job in presenting comparable pay, and pay after COVID really rose in general, and the police were no exception to that. And what we're seeing here is probably the first impact of that on the town's budget, because, well, and of course, it's even harder to get people to apply to be a police officer these days. So this really represents bringing that department up much closer to the average starting pay of departments in the region, and then also bumping the people with experience up commensurate with that. So as much as it may seem a shock, partly because it's just one of the, I mean, it's the highest staff department we have, so it's going to have more of a greater dollar number to it. But that it really does represent what the labor market out there is now for police, and it is not by any means overly generous, as some of them might say. I think they make that up on overtime because they're so young and ambitious. Yeah, we know that.
We don't even have a lot of that right now because they're so young and ambitious, they don't have a lot of vacation time. So they run out of that pretty quickly.
So it is fair, and I think that the town in general will need another wage and classification study done in another year or two in order to also include these market effects in other people's salaries as well. So that's a little bit of a cautionary note.
I look at it as it's a small price to pay to put your life on the line, so I really appreciate it.
Yeah, well, TA for me. Thank you.
Okay, one more. Chief, you're up.
This one's so easy. I could always do this one last because it looks so much better. So our animal control budget.
Yeah. 292.
Yeah. So just
TA from me.
I was gonna say it's an easy one.
Yeah,
There's really nothing to
Pretty
it.
straightforward.
Any question, Robert? You got any questions?
It's pretty straightforward.
TA.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I know it's a lot of work to put that budget together.
Becky does.
You didn't do it in 5 minutes?
Huh?
5 months.
Okay.
Welcome, Mr. Strout.
Number 10.
Okay, number 10, proposed meeting capital and other warrant items. Mr. Hutchinson.
Okay.
Yes, this is really a brief introduction to these items. I'm not presenting any of them in detail at this meeting, but I did want to let you know that I am working on compiling these and give you a little bit of a heads up about what's been requested for capital items. This is really just the
Excuse me,
first.
can we be quiet, please, so we're trying to hear up here? Okay.
This is really just the first page. At the bottom and going on to the second page are notes that give some detail as to some of what of them are. The first item is a proposal to adopt a mass general law that would give the treasurer more authority to negotiate payment options for tax title payment agreements. So that's the first note, and there's a legal opinion on the second page about why it would be a good thing for us to adopt this, partly because we're already negotiating payment options, and this would clarify that the treasurer had the authority to do that. It's something we've always done, but we haven't passed the general law, which we should, to clarify that authority. The second is a proposal to adopt the HERO Act. There are two clauses. The first increases the amount of a tax exemption granted to veterans on their domiciles. That's real estate taxes. And that would be determined annually by a cost of living adjustment based on the Consumer Price Index. The second would double that amount. So the first is doing it by a cost of living adjustment determined annually, and the second is simply doubling the amount. So that's a choice that would have to be made. And I have asked the assessors to come up with a number for that and do not have that yet.
Okay.
Number 3, we've been asked by the Cemetery Commission, as a matter of fact, at our last meeting, to consider authorizing them to come up with rules governing green burials or natural burials.
Yeah.
Number 4, civil service. The town's 2021 vote to request the legislature to remove the town from civil service has expired for legal purposes and must be re-voted for this session. Fifth, we've been requested to consider town meeting authorization for the select board to sell the parcel on North Mountain Road that the town retained when it sold the surrounding agricultural preservation restricted land off North Mountain Road. There are severe difficulties in the town using that because we would not be able to pave the entranceway, which is a rather steep hill, and we would not be able to improve the parcel at the top either by adding any permanent structures or pavement or anything like that. It would be an undeveloped parcel with
Why
an
wouldn't we
undeveloped
be able
road.
to put any buildings up there?
Because of the restrictions that are still on that portion of the parcel.
What restrictions? There's no APR restrictions on that parcel.
We can talk about that later.
Okay. Thank you.
But certainly the entrance to it is just a right-of-way. It doesn't give us the right to develop it and have a paved entrance or anything like that. So there's that. The short answer is that was MDR's opinion.
What's MDR got to do with it? It doesn't have APR mean on it. So why are they even involved? I just don't understand it, Tom.
Well, yeah.
That's why we didn't sell it, because it's not part of the APR restricted property.
Well, there are different opinions on that.
Yeah, well,
So.
I have a very strong opinion on it.
Yeah.
Huh? No, of course not. Another bureaucratic nightmare for 15 years. Sure, I can see that.
The sixth is a bylaw amendment that the planning board is currently working on regarding changing our current bylaw on accessory dwelling units to come into compliance with a recent state law that allows ADUs by right. So the planning board is going through that process, have public hearings, see how we want to tweak our own bylaws so that it comes into compliance and bring that to town meeting. And that's it for the regular warrant articles. For capital items, these have been...
Yes, one question I'm going to
Yeah.
I should have asked before. On the proposals to adapt the HERO Act, are these increased benefits for veterans or disabled veterans?
John,
What?
the
Right.
HERO Act was just, I think, adopted or passed in like November or something. You should really look at it because it's got all kinds of things, not just for disabled, regular veterans.
Right.
Right.
Well,
I think that's.
But a lot of it too was for disabled.
But I think we should look at it, because I think there's other portions in there that we may want to look at and adopt.
Yeah. Well, I think we should adopt the whole thing, but,
Right.
yeah, I agree with you.
Agree. Okay. All right, Tom, come on, please.
So for capital items, first, the DPW needs to replace the truck. It's a 1992, I think, 93 maybe, that has the sewer flusher and the catch basin cleaner attached to it. In addition, the sewer flusher also needs to be replaced. They repair it, I guess, not infrequently. So the proposal from the DPW is to buy a single combination truck that would replace the truck and the sewer flusher unit, and also have a built-in catch basin cleaner for the other end of the truck. There's one end is the sewer flusher, the other end is the catch basin cleaner. And it's obviously a large ask. It could probably be a borrowing over some number of years. But it's, the truck itself is in need of replacement, and one of its components is in need of replacement. And it's probably time to do it before we start putting more money into maintenance.
Could we see what a trailer, could we see what a cost of a trailer and another truck to pull that trailer unit would be? Because $540,000 for a combo unit is a huge number. It's a huge expense for the town, which the town does not need something of that magnitude. And the town needs also to look at what the maintenance on a truck like that versus pulling a trailer would be. And I can speak from this from firsthand. And the other thing that I would point out is that the town is in contract with Franklin County, Regional Planning, and Berkshire County, who also put out catch basin and jetting services in their contracts, to possibly look into that avenue to see if that would be cheaper. But a $540,000 combo truck is way overkill for what this town needs and uses it for.
All right, the second item is using the results of the engineering studies for town hall HVAC and plumbing upgrades to get money to do that work. We don't have both of those figures available right now, so kind of holding off on that, but we expect to get those figures soon. Going along with that, we've also requested an estimate for replacing the stair lift at Town Hall as an immediate measure to make it much more accessible than it is now. It's still not like a lift, it's still a chair lift, but the current one we have has a part that has worn out, worn down, and is no longer being made. So we're asking the company how much to replace the unit. Can you do it without replacing the railings, all of that. So we expect to get that estimate before too long. Another possibility is getting engineering for a 3-story vertical lift in Town Hall, proposed for near where the assessors are in the second floor and the sergeant's room in the first floor. And this could also connect to the third floor to make that accessible, which would open it up for meetings and staff meetings up there. We also have a proposal for repainting the second floor of Town Hall. We were not able to do that during the reconstruction. It wasn't budgeted for, and when it was proposed, it was just too late in the project to get funding for it and do it. So we're proposing that now. And the last item would be transfer station reconstruction. So we're having that engineering done, which was passed by town meeting last year. And I did make it clear that doing the engineering for the project means that we're actually going to look at the project itself too when that comes up. If you've seen the concrete blocks where the cars drive in next to the places to dump trash and paper and containers, those concrete blocks are crumbling. And there are cracks that are appearing in the surface, and it's not a great situation. Probably best to address it before it actually becomes unusable. So that's, we're looking at, we're getting this study done now, and it'll have a, proposed design and cost estimate. So those are all of the capital items. The larger ones, probably looking at borrowing. The smaller ones could come from capital stabilization. Yeah. Sorry, and I skipped the police cruiser, which is more than we paid last year, and I should have, maybe Deanna can speak to that. Sorry, Chief Stroud. And sorry, this really wasn't supposed to be a discussion of the actual capital item, but as long as you're here and there's that question.
Well, why don't we wait until there's more information, or we're going to have the discussion when we have all of the numbers? Or
Yeah. Anyway,
Just off the top of your head, what did we pay you last year?
I think it was 66,000.
Now it's 90.
Something.
I can tell you exactly what it is, because we're out of the old cruiser cameras and MDTs, we have to buy new. It's just a cruiser camera and a computer. That's the difference in the price. It has nothing to do with the car or the equipment.
It's outfitting the new.
I'm sorry, John.
It's
Yeah, that's
outfitting
fine.
the new vehicle.
It's not so much the cost, it's just the computer and the.
Good. Good for us to know. Thanks.
So I just wanted to bring up that entire universe of what I've received as requests, and both in just bylaws and capital items, and we'll, be going through them in more detail at a future meeting. But I didn't want to get them out there in the public discourse.
Thank you, Bob.
Thanks, Scott.
I would like some more info on the combo truck when we can add that to
Oh,
the
yeah.
list for Bud. And just comparisons to other approaches,
Yeah.
just as due diligence and kind of piggyback on Member Collins' comments.
Yeah, also on the, we're looking at that. I know we're looking at a potential lift type elevator to make the town hall handicap accessible. Located at the northern entrance to the town hall in Carson, correct?
Yes. I
Okay.
think so.
And the stair lift thing on the south entrance to the town hall, the police entrance, has been defunct for 2 or 3 years. There's no more parts for it. And the police department is gonna be there that much longer. Why are we wasting money on putting a new lift in there?
Well, I don't think making the town hall much more easily accessible is a waste. Certainly as long as the police department is downstairs, if they had to bring someone in who was in a wheelchair or unable to walk up and down stairs, it would be useful while they were there. I would like, just for my peace of mind, to have two, one exit on one side of the building and another exit on the other side of the building in case of a fire. It was handicap accessible, of course. And, we do have the library lift. It is there. But the chairlift is much less expensive than the real 3-story lift.
Right.
And would be I think it would be used less, more in emergency situations, but it would also, if we did not get the 3-story lift, it would be the main means of accessibility for the town hall.
The 3-story lift.
If we just got the chairlift, that could end up being the main source of accessibility for the town hall.
You're saying that the proposed 3-story lift is not gonna be built.
I'm not, at this point, prepared to assume that it will be.
The one thing I noticed that you give us periodic updates once a week on the status of all the projects in the police area and with the lift and with this 3-story lift that's been proposed for almost a year now. And it seems as though that the building superintendent who's in charge of this project is having real difficulty getting any response from this elevator company. Is there a problem there?
As far as I know, elevator companies have always been problematic in their communication.
Oh, it's up and down now?
In my experience.
All right, thanks, Tom.
Set up again.
Good one, John. Okay, let's go to item 11, please.
Thanks, Tom.
Yeah.
Thank you. Release of the easement on the Mazzani problem.
And we have the landowner here to speak.
Sure, please.
Okay.
Yes, my name is Amy Santi, and I am the farm owner of the land at the corner of Orchard Road and North Street. And as you guys know, that land is subject to an agricultural preservation restriction with the state. And I'm appearing for you this evening as a Dalton resident, taxpayer, and owner of that farmland to respectfully request that the town consider constructing a continuous sidewalk along the west side of Orchard Road. And when I looked at that SK Designs engineering plans for this project, it shows an installation that's discontinuous. And so the northern portion is proposed to run from North Street down the side of the preserved farmland to Pease Avenue, and then cross the street and be on the west side of the road from Pease Avenue down to the Housatonic River. And I have 3 factors that I would like you guys to consider before making your decision. The first is that by constructing a sidewalk to the east on the edge of the farmland, it has significant potential to negatively impact the soil health along that field. And an agricultural preservation restriction means that that land is going to remain in agriculture in perpetuity, forever. So that's always going to be farmland. And I've already established through soil analysis with both Cornell and UMass that there's issues with regards to the soil health on that land, particularly in the northeast corner, which is not along the sidewalk. But soil scientists have suggested to me that looking at the magnesium levels there, that it's likely the result of runoff from Route 9. So efforts to keep the road from freezing, and the salt is contaminating the soil. And that's going to be a big uphill battle to try to get around that in my efforts to try to reclaim that field in a more healthy situation than it's been maintained by previous use. And so if a sidewalk is placed along the side of that, from time to time, you're going to have to put salt on it for the ice and stuff. I'm concerned that will further contaminate the field along that area. And so I think that's a legitimate concern on my part, regardless of what the chemicals that they use. Not only would that harm the soil ecology, but it also impacts the soil structure. And this leads to the buildup of water and saturated soils, which basically means you're going to get more flow and more runoff. And that's not something that obviously, anybody wants along Orchard Road there. The second reason is, given that your town notice of intent states that pedestrian safety is a priority, it seems reasonably and safer if the pedestrians did not have to cross the street twice to use this corridor as a sidewalk. So they would have to cross it at the top and then also cross it at Pease Avenue intersection. And this is especially true for young children, elderly, anybody that needs to walk with a cane or a wheelchair. And then furthermore, because this field is going to remain in perpetuity, there's going to be equipment in that field in the spring, possibly with planting, and in the fall when I'm harvesting hay, and during those times, it would be much safer for the pedestrians to have an additional 15 feet away from where these big equipment can kick up rocks and things along there, particularly for, curious children. And then the third reason I'd like you to consider it is that in contrast to the potential risk to the farmland and the pedestrians that are walking along the corridor there, it would actually benefit the property values of the homeowners on the other side of the street, because it's a well-documented that property values increase with sidewalks there. In fact, one large recent analysis looking at all the Zillow data set showed that on the same exact streets, if the sidewalk is on one side and not on the other, that the average is about 5% higher property values for the homeowner. So a sidewalk, I think, is much more valuable. It makes much more sense to be located in a continuous manner on the opposite side of the street, so the west side. I think that would be safer both for the pedestrians as well as my protected farmland. So I hope that you will consider that when the project comes to fruition. And in closing, I just would like to respectfully request a copy of the board's plans to address all of the questions that were raised in the by Mark Stinson of Mass DEP in his January 9th letter. In his response to the NOI, he brought up a bunch of different issues and requests, and I haven't seen that. They were kind of out of the loop, so I would like to, I'd appreciate knowing, what you guys came up with on that, and I'd like to see copies of any revised NOIs as a result of his, the regulations that needed to be addressed.
What was the date of that? I'm sorry.
January 9th. It's a one-page letter. Yes, it was a one-page letter in response to your NOI, the notice of intent. I received that from SK Designs when I got a notice as an abutter instead of the landowner, which I already spoke to you guys about. It was, I could have saved a lot of time if you guys had, talked to me directly months earlier with this APR thing. And I know it's a previous discussion point, with regards to that bargain APR and that little piece of land that's not part of APR. I don't know if you guys are aware, but when they set up APRs, they try to set up pieces so that farmers that are managing it have a place where they can have a home. Because even I can't put structures on that APR land. So as a farmer, I couldn't build a house there. So that land has been separated from the APR now. So now it's much harder for somebody in the future, beyond, say, the Balladinis that bought it, to be able to use that as a functional unit. So maybe the town wants to consider selling it back to them to try to reunite that as a functional unit.
Well, I think that's the plan here. They're the only ones that seem interested in it.
Okay.
I don't see why it has any restrictions on it. As you say, it was separated from the APR.
But I think I don't know for sure, but my understanding of APRs is it's very hard even for the landowner to be able to do anything on that land. So they can't build, like I have all this APR land, I can't build a house for me there. I can't build.
We understand.
No, but I'm saying that the reason that land doesn't have the APR on it.
Excuse me, we're getting off topic, okay?
Set up for that, okay. I was just trying to explain it.
No, I think originally people had hopes of building a housing development, hence the entrance.
Okay, all right, well, I'm just focusing this off the clock, I was just trying to help.
There was never APR restriction on that land.
Yes, but typically when they put something in an APR, just like my house is not part of my APR, they have a house and then they have the land, because farmers don't make a lot of money. And so they need to have their home there. They don't want to travel a distance. That's just,
But I don't think any of this is the issue. It's a town-owned piece of property with no restrictions on it. I didn't bring it up.
I know.
I'm sorry.
Well, okay,
Yeah.
all right. Go back to the release of the easement.
No objection to our releasing the easement.
And Tom can follow up with you regarding the request.
Oh, great, thank you.
These are just copies of my letters.
Okay, good.
Excellent, thank you.
So if you don't have any questions for me, or?
Nope, I think we'll.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Tom?
Yeah, so, we're now ready to release the easement that, on that property that the town had obtained. That's all you really have to do is, vote to release the easement as presented.
Okay.
Would you like to read the whole, should I read the language in the easement or state as presented?
I think that would be fine.
State as presented?
Yeah.
Okay. One moment. Let's see here. And 152 Orchard Road is the, let's see. Okay. Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the release of easement as presented.
Second.
Okay. Motion been made and seconded. Is there any further
Yeah.
discussion?
Tom, approximately how big is this easement that we took and now releasing?
About 40 by 400 feet.
40 by 400 feet. And it was where?
It was off Orchard Road,
Yeah.
along the back of the lots of Keys Avenue. And, yeah, along the back of the lot on the,
Well, we're gonna try to control the drainage problem.
we will do what we can at the,
By staying
in the
on
town's
road.
existing right of way at the street.
Okay.
And this is because the work we had projected to undertake isn't allowed by the MDR. Am I correct?
Yes, we
The
would,
APR protects the
Yes.
problem. Thank you.
Okay, we good? Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we need to sign this, and I think Heather.
and, we have our notary here to, notarize the instrument.
Are we all supposed to use the same pen?
Sure.
See that, Heather?
I did, I saw it. Good job. They gonna have to hold on to it?
I don't know if this guy sent you down there or not. Yeah, be about to send you. Go ahead.
While they're doing that, can we ask questions? Of the finish of that, of the road work, where is the notice of intent at? Or is that for another topic?
Yes, that'd be another topic.
Maybe next.
That's, actually, we should check with the Concom. Maybe they have some answers for us, because they usually get the notice of intent. Henry, can you provide us with that last notice of intent that they sent for us? Yeah, give us a copy of the notice of intent. Yeah, we would like to update it on if we could. Yeah. Oh, you're still waiting for it? Okay, thank you. All set, Tom? Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I don't know which business these are. Those are these yours?
I'll take them.
Huh?
I think one was that.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, next. Update from the Public Safety Facility Advisory Committee. Craig, I understand you're gonna speak, and I have some questions for you, and I want to make some comments while you come up. And then we'll open up to board discussion, and then you can present where you guys are at, if you don't mind.
Sure. Don Davis is also co-chair, he's also president.
And Dave Martindale and Tony from the committee are also here.
Yes.
And David Martindale?
Dave.
And
Right,
Not
Rick.
right
Have a
in
seat. Have a seat.
Thank you.
Okay. Before you start, Craig, I just want to ask a few questions. We'll bring it up to the board for other comments and whatnot. What's the size of the building you're looking at now?
Based on the current space needs assessment from Brian Hughes, we are looking at an approximately 13,300 square foot police department.
Okay, do you have any idea of what that would cost?
I can tell you based on my own career experience.
Ballpark figure would be fine.
Working on a similar project in Northampton, it was just bid in the last 6 months. Minimum $800 a square foot, up to 1,000 square foot, depending on the size of the amenities of the building, the site restrictions, the site requirements, the finishes, etc. But that certainly has room for the study to continue and to vet those items to make sure that that is the actual number. But based on the current model that we've received from Brian Hughes, that's the number we're receiving.
Okay, now approximately what would that be in US dollars? Because my brain can't figure that out.
You'd be looking at just the cost of construction alone, not the acquisition of property, somewhere between 12 million and $13.5 million,
Okay,
based on an $800 to $1,000 a square foot.
Craig, that's without,
that's without the land.
no, yeah. It goes
Correct. No one.
that's without furnishing it or outfitting it with all the sophisticated equipment that's needed in this stage, right?
Well, that's where that gap between 800 a square foot and 1,000 comes from. So there's base equipment, and then there are items that will be looked at, will be requirements. So that's where that range comes from. So we would fit it out. Certainly the building would be provided with furniture, equipment, accessories to operate. Some may be brought from the police department as they exist now. Others may have to be reprocured.
Okay.
And the dispatch center, I don't know if this is an appropriate question at this time. Is there equipment in our police department going to be transferred over there, or is it antiquated, needs replacement?
That might be a question for Gabby.
Yeah.
Gabby, you got that?
So we just upgraded, well, the 911 equipment, that's, the state owns that will go with it. Everything will be used. We just up, if you remember, 2 years ago, I got a development grant. We just upgraded all our radio and dispatch console equipment. Yes, there's a few things that will be added to have 2 fully functional stations rather than the 1.5 that we currently have. We would be looking at upgrading our antenna. A lot of that depends on where the facility is, because you're going to have to live in this area. But I'm pretty confident moving forward that when it comes to our portion for the communication center, state funding with the development grant will assist in most of us meeting to this facility.
Thank you, Gabby. Very helpful.
Any other questions on equipment?
Is her, what, because the dispatch center is part of the police station, but as you just said, it's more of state. Does that include, would that $800 to $1,000 a square foot include the dispatch center extras that would be, you know, little upgrades? Would that include that, or you think hers, that would take it above that?
Might be a little early to predict that, but as part of what the architect will do, he will look at all that equipment if he already has it, and they have met. So the police department, dispatch has met with the architect.
Okay, so.
Gone through, he's toured the building, so he understands what's gonna be replaced, what's antiquated, and what could be reused, but he hasn't shared that with us yet. So as we get further along, that information will start to be available.
Okay. Are you looking at needs versus wants, or also, I mean, are you considering?
The need that we're looking at right now is based on what Brian Humes has uncovered with the police department. The committee has approved that to be what we would call the base model, at least for conception, a conceptual review. Whether we looked at other options, that's something that I'm not sure the committee has fully grasped from this committee, from this council, what our task is related to size of building, amenities of building, and so forth, and what we should be presenting to you.
Yeah. I know you guys are looking at a 30 to 40-year timeframe. Does this include any possibilities of adding on? I mean, go ahead, Don.
Just what we believed we were tasked to do from you guys was to hire a consultant. And most of this stuff is dictated between police departments, state, federal, accreditation. So we've hired this firm who's done it all over. I think in that package, you'll see that he's done several different studies, probably towards the last page. There might be a couple in there that he's done. And this is his recommendations on what he's found in accordance with state, federal, accreditation, and our dispatch, dog officer, emergency management, and police department with the size of our town. And also to reduce in the police department's budget, training rooms that are big enough to where we could not have to pay our law enforcement people to go travel to a training room, but have our own training room in here to reduce funds and things like that. You know, there's always grants and things available. There could be a dispatcher's grant that's available. There could be some regionalization money that's available. But right now, you guys asked us to tax this building to get to where we're at. We hired a professional person. He states this is what we need. Plain and simple to move forward. If you guys want us to do anything else, I'm sure we'll be able to do that.
Yeah.
You had mentioned about future expansion. So Brian was asked the question, and Brian certainly would be willing to consider, based on the discussion with Deanna and the committee, what those items might be. Brian isn't going to say, I don't believe this is necessary. He believes what's necessary is what the police chief, the committee, and town is telling him is needed. So he's going to need direction if he's going to depart from what we're showing here today, which is what he believes we need.
Yeah, can you get the architect to get multiple options for this building, like maybe not the, like I call the Taj Mahal version, but maybe a mid-range or $7-8 million range, or whatever. I mean, for each lot you're looking at, do we have options for the building at different costs?
We've been trying to strategize on that, and we haven't been able to try to put together strategies on that because of some language barrier on some things. But the lot or what's being proposed is what's a national thing within at least the state of Massachusetts. So if you're, you know, this is the minimum that they're talking about. You want to build out half of it, you want to do this. If we just use an easy number, $10 million for size of the building, it costs you to go up $1 million every year, and we don't finish the whole building. Every year it's 10% of $1 million increase.
I get that.
You know, I just think that we still should try to finish what you guys asked us to do, put together a strategy, and then we turn it over to you guys and figure out where you want to go.
Yeah, because
I think we gotta figure out.
We're gonna find out is that certain properties that this committee has ranked as being potential test fits for the building may not work based on some of these early sizes of information. So we may find ourselves changing a bit and having to shift, and that might be a property decision. It might be a building size decision, but to be honest, until we do some test fits and figure out what we can and can't do on the properties that we've at least picked for the purpose of the study, it may be premature.
Yeah, I would like to see different options. I mean, that's what we did with the old Dalton High when we knocked it down. We had options to present to the town.
Well, our options are minimally dictated by state, federal guidelines. You know, you talk a town garage or a senior center or something like that. There's a lot of other avenues in this building as you guys go through and see what is actually required within holding cells and dispatch, and you know, a lot of that stuff we can't tell. We'll give you a window and you can't have one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get
That's understood, for sure. I guess, I mean, from my perspective, having at least an additional option based on maybe a less aggressive projection for growth in the department, because when I look at the population projections for Dalton, I just want, and I see the call volume, you know, peaking in 2010 and then coming down to by about 5,000 calls by 2024, and I see it being projected to go back up. I'm wondering where the rationale for that is, and is the building square footage dictated by the number of officers? Is that what's driving?
Yeah.
Okay.
Officers, number of processing areas.
Understood that, yeah, for sure.
And then it takes a basic turn from there. So then it's interview spaces, break rooms, locker rooms, evidence storage, ammunition storage. These are all required spaces in a police department that aren't negotiable.
Yeah.
The size of them, as Brian Humes would say, is negotiable, but then you're starting to cut down on functionality.
Sure.
So if something requires 200 square feet and you want to cut it down to 100, does that make sense? The space now be rendered useless? And those are the topics that we've been having in the committee about how we can reduce it and if we can reduce it.
That's my goal, is how do you reduce the building footprint enough to save money for taxpayers and still get the facility we want?
If you go through the list and look at the actual size of the buildings and rooms,
Yeah,
most of the buildings are pretty small, square footage wise. You know what I mean? Besides your entryway, maybe the training room, everything else is primarily small. It's just required by state or the federal government or
Yeah. I think we can't forget that a part of this building will be taken up by the communication center.
right, correct. And the dog and the emergency management.
Dan brings up a good point. How can we keep the price down? There is only one way you can. These things, I agree with you, Don, they're all pretty much mandated. They have to be done. But property acquisition.
Yep,
There's in the community, rumors go around, there's some big pieces of property out there with big price tags on them to purchase for a possible site. And my opinion from the day one was, the town has property, and we might well think about.
So, Mr. Boyd, I think on your list that we provided for you, Tony and our crew, I think there's this piece of parcel out in front of us here.
Yeah.
I think that is on our scorecard and on our list. And we've already looked at that piece of property. I believe you guys have it. It's still, from what we believe, it's still on the, trying to target and strategize to build it. Our biggest thing is we're unsure of a couple of details that the select board had promised the town.
Yeah, well, that's the select board's problem.
It was less about the select board, it was a town meeting vote
Yeah.
for how the land would be used, and I would imagine that the town voters would appreciate an opportunity to
We
re-vote.
can't change it and do anything else.
Well, we can certainly present another article for town to
We
consider.
need you guys,
Yeah.
but the option is there, and we are trying to move forward with that option. So just to let you know.
I apologize, Don, I didn't get that far in the booklet.
Well, that's okay, but like I said, I believe it was there, but we still had that Walker pipeline, Brook.
Yep, well, you heard me talk before.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's been going on since Dan Filio brought it up. That was
I think
easy 10 years
I
ago.
think it's been going on since 1980, we have reports on it. That's, I mean, our committee's been working very, very hard. Everybody on our committee has dug in and worked every avenue that they could for it.
And the select board has pursued a project where we would could possibly redirect the pipeline. Instead of going behind the houses on Glendon Avenue, go down down the middle of Glendon Avenue. But that's a small adjustment. But that's as far as shot. We had 3 options in top, and we have a consultant company bringing forth those options.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was it. That was about 3 years ago, right?
So the option for a different style, different size buildings already kind of been built into this feasibility. So one of the properties we're looking at is an existing structure that would be renovated and potentially added on to, and that's the Congregational Church. So that one has an opportunity to change its floor plan and its size to meet what's existing. So we will see a different model from that particular property. But the other 3 properties, we would be remaining with the square footage as we agreed on.
I believe that Brian actually said he has one going along the same heights for somewhere around, he made the 8 million, I think it was, without FF&E.
Yeah, the range is between 7 million to about 14 million for about the same population as Dalton.
Right.
So,
Where is that? Maybe we go check it out.
I believe it's on that list, Carver, Mass.
Carver, Mass, up by the Cape.
Yep, up the street.
So I know, I mean, everybody up here has talked about the cost. I mean, and it's very obvious that I've been at a few of your meetings, the buzzword out there is regionalization. And the opportunities for regionalization and getting money through the Environmental Bond Bill Act is a huge positive to our community if we can figure out a regionalization plan to promote that aspect. Whether it's, you know, I know that the dispatch center is already semi-considered regional, right? Regionalized? It is regionalized. I mean, you know, and my understanding is they tried that with the police department and another town nearby and it didn't work. But I think that in order for this committee to be able to do justice to the town, I think we have to really consider regionalization so we can tap into some of the other possibilities that our legislators can help generate some of the larger funds for building this size. And I mean, we have, you know, Windsor, you have Hinsdale, you got Peru that would fall into the regionalization territory plan that not only the state, but the federal government has also buzzworded out. So is that something that this committee has talked about?
Absolutely.
And has, I mean, financially, I know you guys aren't on the financial side, but the select board up here, I mean, we really have to consider, you know, stressing regionalization because I believe that is going to be the savior to the taxpayers if we're able to pull this off.
I would caution utilization because we don't want to get in a situation where it's going to cost Dalton money. I'm all for regionalization, but do it right. So,
If regionalization wants to be considered, we've been told by many, including the politicians, it should really come from the top down, not from our committee up. So it would really be helpful for this council to give us a direction. And if regionalization is something of importance to the town, give that to us in our task and we will include it. But right now,
we may think it's a cost, but you know, are we overloading the police department? I mean, well, we got to make the chief like one of them Stretch Armstrong dolls.
Chairman, real quick, just, and I think we use a term, with regionalization, as a different strategy, maybe not to where it's designated from, but, I think if you let between the different towns and the different chiefs talk, one of the largest budgets you're gonna see in most communities on an increase right now is gonna be probably the police department's budgets throughout. And then trying to staff them is very difficult, trying to get the recruits to get in there. get them trained, it's a long process, so I think you're gonna see that. But, I think if you do, hey, Tom, what was that funny word that I had, hybrid regionalization. You look at a hybrid type of regionalization where you go out to different communities if they need help with services.
Shared
or
services.
shared services, ordering, off the dinner plate. You know what I mean? I want this steak, I want these fries, blah, blah, blah. You let our chief discuss it with their chief, everybody still is operated by their community. It'll be like a hybrid regionalization. If everybody gets along with it and it fits in, a lot of the costs are gonna be eaten up with our buildings, our cruisers, and our staffing. If every municipality doesn't have to have that stuff, and one person does, they could definitely win. So.
Yeah, I totally agree, but I don't want us to pay for it.
I didn't say nothing.
Plan based on Dalton's needs and not regionalization.
Well, this current plan is based on Dalton's needs.
Yeah, let me explain that the concept of regionalization doesn't change the physicality of the building. No. We're not adding more square feet to regionalize, we're adding more processes to the police department.
I'd like to see this building get built and then worry about that.
But I think what we're saying is that regionalization or no regionalization, the building itself wouldn't change based on that alone.
So we went and looked at several buildings. The closest one probably that was here would be Williamstown. You know, that was built currently. I think it was in 2019 they completed it. And that building was built for 40 to 50 years like this one. So when our committee went to that police department, their staffing, their size is approximately what ours is right now, but he could double his people in that building, but not drop them all in one shift, you know. Our current town has a 32 square foot ladies locker room without a bathroom and shower. Theirs had probably a 500 square foot bathroom with a shower, which is needed. So just because you have a couple extra lockers in there off the start, you're not going to, you add different shifts and more people on shifts. You don't double or even expand their space size.
You're already built for that.
You're already built for it.
Yeah.
My question is, the growth projections themselves, based on, the population growth projected to go down.
Yep.
I just wonder, why would call volume necessarily go up if it's been going down?
Good question.
But this might not be a question for you guys.
Well, I asked the question.
That's
so
Chief,
the-
she's right here.
the
Go
answer-
ahead, Chief.
Can I answer that?
Yes, of course.
Hold on. We could try to.
Brian Humes also answered this question. So basically, as the population goes down, the idea that the population of the town and its makeup will change, and that crime rates will change along with that, increasing, even though the population is decreasing. I know we don't like to think about things along that nature, but that's what I was explaining. Is that accurate?
So you're saying us old people will get bashed when we get older?
Population, because I just saw it in the 1 year, it was a fluke, very high year. And then the rest of the time, we average between 13 and 18,000 calls a year for service, which is very high for a small town, but it's not crime, it's just we're constantly calling.
They use Holyoke as an example. Holyoke has a dwindling population, but an increasing immigrant population, and their crime rates are skyrocketing, and they're trying to wrap their heads around decreasing populations and how that crime rate is increasing. So I think this is information that's being presented to other districts from previous experiences, and this information is now being put out there for folks.
Okay.
Also, one more thing, if I could, share the chief. We have mutual aid agreements with other communities. So other communities, chief, can you help me out with that a little bit?
What do you got, Steve?
We have mutual aid agreements with our neighboring towns. So if Dalton has to respond, which I believe they currently do, I think you currently have maybe a call sheet on that. Dalton responds to other municipalities, okay, because we have a mutual aid agreement. That's still a cost in a thing for our town, but we still have to go. So that's why the increasing number would be there with a decrease in population also.
That makes sense. Okay.
Fair enough. For my own due diligence and understanding, I just would like to see more about how these numbers came about for the growth estimates. So if that can be provided, I know where those numbers are.
That come from the architect.
And then really, where the end so far, it's, again, my sole interest is how can we micromanage at least a little bit of the building envelope, that total square footage, because that's going to be the final determining cost, the factor for cost. And is there any way we can manage that number down?
I don't know, they're pretty much dictated by the state to do everything. Okay. That you guys have to do everything. It's pretty tough, but my only question was, are we going to the Cape?
Let's go. You
All right.
driving?
I'm driving.
Summer, man.
Oh, no, we go right now.
No, we went to May. No.
That's like on Friday. Oh, you don't go.
Okay.
Has there
I
been any
think-
work by the,
I think all we can do now is really just sit back and wait for this feasibility study to be coming to us.
That's
I
due
think
by
that-
April 30th, correct?
Yeah, April, the end of April. Other than that, yeah, we can look at details and we can,
As quick as we can strategize for it, we will have it.
yeah,
sorted out. You have
well,
everybody-
that's the document right now we really need to see.
Well,
And,
one thing, John, if we can get the total estimate for the building, the real estate we need, and the project, we'll need a project manager we can bring into the public meeting to get the support. I would like to have this information and that support before moving on from the town.
Well, we'll stick around for as long as you guys want us to. But,
Absolutely.
you know, we'll,
You guys are doing a great job. I mean, it's not an easy task.
Yeah, thank you both and the rest of the committee for their work on the committee. They're serving us.
I know this may be premature, but has there been any work with the grant writer that we funded?
Yes, so as part of the report that we will be giving to you, hopefully in May, we will have a financial tab to that, which will explain what grant opportunities are out there, when they're available, conditions of those grants. And we will be looking at federal, state, and local.
That'd be huge to take the town meeting with us, that's okay. That'd be huge.
we'll try.
That's what we'll.
Can you walk us just quickly through the timeline?
Yeah.
Are you expecting to have something to present for this town meeting, or would it be a special town meeting, or would it be next town meeting?
Well, we understand that this May is going to be a very busy month, and we were planning on trying to present in that select board meeting at the beginning of the month, which I believe is the 5th. But Brian's report is due to us at the end of April, so if he gets us to us sooner, we might be able to present you with a draft report and recommendations. However, that's really based on what we get back.
Can I
from
make a
Brian.
recommendation? Don't get hung up on the annual meeting date. We can always call a special meeting.
I would prefer a special time meeting.
I just prefer a special town meeting or whatever, once it's all said and done. I'd rather take our time and get our numbers and start
I
together.
don't think we should even consider a special town meeting
Why not?
because there's nobody there usually.
Well, that's up to
Annual town meetings are designed for the town and cities to have the maximum outturn to adjudicate special projects, huge projects that affect the community. You should never consider one at a special town meeting. In fact, I think the law prohibits it, but it's been stretched a lot in the past years.
Well, I'll tell you what, there's not much difference in attendance.
No, well, yeah, truly. I think if we can't do it by this April or this May, then it has to go till next May.
The only thing I can say is, for the chair, thank you guys very much. As soon as we can strategize, move this thing forward, get Brian the information he needs, our committee can all get together, we will have it to you as soon as
Yeah,
possible.
I just don't want to rush this
Well,
through,
well-
because we're going to get a lot of questions. You're going to get a lot of questions.
We'll have all the answers when we give it to you.
Okay.
And Bob, we should hold public hearings and things like that.
I would like to do a couple,
Okay.
I would like to do a couple education for the public to get them,
Yes, please.
because they're the ones who are going to flip the bill for this.
Brian Hume's own public workshops, so we can certainly schedule those, but we would want to do those strategically with.
Yeah, absolutely. One on a weekend where people can come. David, do you have?
Public workshops are recommended.
Thanks.
Good.
Tony?
Just one thing, Bob, just going back to Williamstown again, Williamstown took an old house
and renovated it into a three-level building. Williamstown approximates Dalton. We visited Williamstown. It's a wonderful facility. If you noted in that report, Williamstown's square footage is just under 12,000 square feet. Ours approximates 13,000 square feet. If you look at that report, Ryan, he was also estimated close to 3/4 of an acre in terms of square footage. That is setback in terms of property lines and what happened. My concern is that we push this project forward. There are three costs. First being the site. You have 3 sites there that are not secure. We're going to be working, I know Tom's going to be working with the developer, what's your proposal for those sites. One site here with the town is our only real property in hand. So we have to secure that site. Now, I'm all for talking about the building and this and that. I'm just afraid it's a bit premature and leapfrogging till we get that site. And then that site will drive, I would think, the footprint in terms of a 1-level, 2-level, 3-level building and we'll have whatever it takes. But I really think we have to focus on the site.
In general, though, wouldn't the building itself, on a freestanding site, for example, be the same building regardless?
Oh, 1-level building's gonna require more of the square footage, because that 1 level is gonna come out. Williamstown's motto was built on less than half an acre. There's nothing in the way of extra maintenance beyond, I calculated 250 square feet.
Even though it's been 6 or 7 years, Tony, you have a price tag on that Williamstown project?
Williamstown, well, they figured for pre-COVID, John, 2019.
I think it was 7 with
$7 or
that.
$8 million.
Yeah, 6 or 7 years ago.
Yeah.
But that was for the fixers equipment. And that, just to be fair with that statement, you know, that was an existing building that they had on the back. There are extra costs anytime you go up, okay? Anytime you stay with 1 level, you need extra land.
Yeah.
But the parking, we all know it was definitely small. There were some issues with that.
Oh, could be larger.
You know what I mean? So we're just trying to do everything we can to give you the best, good, better, best scenarios.
Yeah.
From our perspective, right?
Yeah, well, parking is an issue in Williamstown.
I think we're definitely looking for good, better, best, yes.
Well, that's what you're gonna get.
Yeah, okay.
So good, better, best of property or building? Because what I heard in the meeting, maybe was the property, but we're talking about.
I would like to see good, better, and best for buildings, to be honest with you.
Good, better, best in terms
Well,
of
be specific.
total financial commitment.
Yeah.
Whether it mean renovating an existing building or building on town-owned property or acquiring separate property. All
Good, better,
packaged
best
in
from a
one.
cost
Good, better,
perspective, I think
best.
ultimately.
So that would be helpful. Brian would prefer if you gave them a budget versus a size or a scope. So if you say, we believe the town can afford 8 million, for the sake of things, tell Brian this. Brian will then design a building based on that price point. But that's not how he likes to do things. He would rather do it on need and then site the property on the right site and then give you a proposal for that.
Okay.
Most states, there's 2 things, maybe 3 things I'm gonna bring up to you guys. Well, we were tasked to do work delivery. We don't have a checkbook. We don't have any approvals or anything to say, this is what you get and that's it. We did our task that you guys had. I just want to be clear one thing. We've all did our task. Was to cut this building or try to shrink it or do anything that we hired a professional person to tell us what to do. Once we alter and go around what his recommendation is, then we shoot ourselves in the foot. Okay? That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
We're gonna give you all the information. What else you guys want, we'll be more than happy to provide you, but you guys are asking us a lot of questions that I don't think we can honestly answer. It's the Brian that would have to answer.
Okay.
If you want to spend $5 million on a building, he could tell you that.
No, I mean, I'm not necessarily asking to spend 5, but if the need is there, and this is certainly laying out
I believe the need was there, that's why he gave it.
for the square footage, then it's a question of location, and
Except for the.
whether it's a new build or retrofit, depending on.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
My biggest
rebuilding on
worry
three
is
properties,
too
brand new,
big,
or you're building on an existing
Yeah.
site with special addition.
if 13,000 square feet's the number, then so be it, whether it happens to be one level or two level based on site characteristics or, yeah.
So that's what we really like coming out of this meeting tonight is for you folks to tell us. We are looking at these three options or these two options, or we're willing to accept the recommendation of Brian as it is now, so we can take the next step.
I think three site recommendations would be what I'd be looking for. I see the 4 here, but I think you probably have to eliminate some,
One of the four
Well, there's
doesn't
more
meet
than
this,
four.
the acreage requirements, and that one might have to be discussed, and maybe that one would be the one we would massage. And because we like the site, we might try to put a different size building on that site, for instance.
Or different style.
Style, or
So,
different parking, or
Let's hold off
something.
moving forward with that, because we'll get back into our strategy thing again.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Number 6, strategies.
Well,
Thank you.
I really appreciate
Thanks, guys.
the update.
Yeah.
Is there anything else to go over? Or?
Thank you guys for all your hard work. I know you're under a lot of scrutiny and stuff. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Update on Dalton Division Road sewer engineer.
Yes, Mr. Hoyle had requested this. I think it was just to clarify the discussion that we're not ready at this time to ask for engineering for any potential Dalton Division Road sewer extension. That the time to discuss that would be closer to the time when the project as a whole was getting closer, so that the engineering estimates we got would be the most accurate. If we went out now, prices could rise over, 4 or 5 years until we get to 2029. It's a balance between waiting until, the last minute, which isn't necessarily the right thing to do, or, not getting the right figures, not getting accurate figures that really reflect the cost of the project. So that's the balance.
Okay.
We don't want to wait too late, but we don't want to do it too early either. So that's,
The timing is not right yet.
yeah, so I think next year would be the
Don't
first.
exactly agree with that. And I told Tom, we're running out of time. It's only 2 years away. It'll be fiscal 26, July. They're going to start the job the spring of 28. It's about 2 years from now to develop a plan. I think, and I expressed it to Tom, that we should start the engineering now. But I agree with him. If that's what he thinks is best, I agree. But we at least should start looking around at grants for that project, because we know it's going to be fairly expensive.
Yeah.
The current estimate for going out to bid is March of 2029.
For the state, well, for bid.
Yeah,
and-
for the state to go out to bid
Yeah,
before
and they would start shortly after that.
So we would.
In
we would
March,
go
the
out
bids
to
are
bid
out. April,
about the same
construction can
time,
start. It's exactly what I'm saying.
in March of 29.
So it's 2 years and 2.5 years. Hey,
Well, March of 29 is 4 years from now.
We have time.
all right.
Okay, let's move on. Town manager update.
Thank you. We've been working for some time on arranging town participation in a completely state-funded digital equity program involving mostly the Senior Center, the Dalton Housing Authority, and the CRA. Dalton will be provided with a digital literacy associate who will reach out to residents of Pine Grove and Pomeroy Manors and the Senior Center. The associate will also provide train-the-trainer programs at the senior center and CRA to give residents the ability to continue digital literacy training after the grant term has expired in March of '26, and will take care of all required state grant reporting and closeout activities. This is being managed by BRPC. The Finance Committee has been looking at 5 years of budgets and seeing where typically budgeted amounts have not typically been fully spent. Based mostly on that analysis, they've been voting relatively small reductions in the requested amounts. At its last meeting, $500 was taken from the Traffic Commission request, $500 from Forest Warden expenses, $500 from the Tree Warden's planting line, $500 from the Historical Commission's purchased services line, and $500 from its other supplies line, $300 from cultural activities for Dalton Day, $350 for Memorial Day supplies. The request was up $950, and $1,000 from Central Supplies from its office supplies line, just for your information. The transfer station upgrade design and cost estimate will be ready for consideration at town meeting if the board wishes to include it on the warrant for this year. I assume it would be a borrow. There was considerable project-driven interest in the Stormwater Commission last week. However, the building commissioner had offered the Conservation Commission the opportunity to take on the duties of the Stormwater Commission as other towns have done, and I'm waiting till I hear from the Conservation Commission before proposing members to the Stormwater Commission. We do have some waiting in the wings if the Conservation Commission does not wish to take that on. We've notified all those wanting to be on the Stormwater Commission of the situation and expect a relatively quick resolution.
Tom, your thought, we don't have any talk back from the conservation by the next meeting. Can we just go ahead and appoint?
Yes, it's on their agenda for their meeting for this month.
The intent for the difference, there's two jobs for stormwater versus conservation, and they should stand alone by themselves. And I know some towns have had combination where they put a stormwater conservation commission together, but they also, in those towns, I think if you look, they have an engineer on staff that can help with some of the things that the stormwater has to look into. And for instance, one of the, take the Orchard Road project. I started going through that NOI. Now the Stormwater Commission would have gone through that and noticed that there's only a 25-year drainage system being put in on Orchard Road. We already know that we have 50 and 100-year floods in our area in the past 10 years. So why would we design and tear up a whole new street to only put a 25-year flood system in for drainage? And that is stuff that the Conservation Commission wouldn't have noticed or picked up on because it's not in their true task of looking into those abilities of the stormwater management. Where the stormwater management people are specifically looking for water runoff, water distribution, pollution, and upgrades. I feel that that is a totally bad situation to have stormwater with conservation without having a staffed engineer in our town hall.
I don't expect the Conservation Commission to jump at the opportunity.
Well, it sounds like we may want to reconsider that, but those are good comments, Mr. Collins. When do you expect to hear back from the Conservation Commission?
After their next meeting, it's, I think, the third week in February.
And if they say that they do want to take it on, then is that going to become the plan, or should we reconsider this? Have more conversation.
I can say this, right now, the Conservation Commission has two hats anyways. They have the Scenic Mountain Act and the regular conservation. And when they talk about Scenic Mountain Act, they have to have a separate meeting for that, or a separate part of the meeting. They have to close one part and open it. I've been on the Stormwater Committee since it was formed. Anytime we had a question or anything, we didn't get into the engineer, we asked somebody, we always have, we have money in our budget for that, so honestly, I think the conservation could handle that. If they had a problem, they could consult an engineer, so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's possible. Of course, you would have members who were part of the Stormwater Commission who would come in for that portion of the meeting. They would not be part of the Conservation Commission. But again, I don't anticipate anybody jumping at the opportunity.
Yes.
I had a meeting on Dalton Division Road with the designer, our designer, Fussin O'Neill, and the Pittsfield City Solicitor, their DPW head, and a number of Mass DOT staff. As I mentioned, the project is currently scheduled to go out to bid in March of 2029. The group discussed the preferred plan, rights of way, and the upcoming public information session on February 19th, Wednesday, February 19th, at 7 p.m. at the Community Building at 115 Red Barn Road.
That's Wednesday.
Letters have gone out to all the people on Dalton Division Road and on the Dalton side, roads that directly feed into it. And this would be a 10% design review, much less formal than the 25% design review. So this is designed to get input at an early stage of the project.
Who's going to be attending? I'm going to be out of town next week.
Next Wednesday?
Yeah,
I haven't had
a week from Wednesday. And mainly a presentation from the designer for interested people in the public.
That's 18th. Yep, 7 o'clock. Okay.
I have been working on bringing the Massachusetts Municipal Association to Dalton for one of its semi-annual legislative breakfasts on Friday, March 7th. And we have confirmed that the senior center here is available for that. This is an opportunity to hear the status of the Municipal Empowerment Act, the state budget, and other relevant legislation and policies. We hope to have our local legislators here, and of course there will be an opportunity to meet, to greet municipal officials from Berkshire County and beyond. Unfortunately, with limited space, these events are for local officials and are by invitation only, not available to the public. We've gotten our health insurance increase, 19.7%, or about $171,000. The town treasurer informs me that this is our second largest increase ever since a 30% plus increase in fiscal year 2005 into 2006. If the schools end up with the same increases last year for their operating budget, 1.8%, that would be $160,000, $164,344. So the total of those two lines would be $331,860.
So isn't the school budget 4.1%?
The first budget that they come out with is usually somewhere above 4%. In my experience, every year it has been substantially reduced in their final budget. So the first budget they put out last year was 4-point-something%, and they ended up at 1.8.
So keep our fingers crossed.
Yeah, but they had ARPA money and stuff last year.
Yes, and they will be making decisions about that, you know, if they can keep people on and that sort of thing. So I don't know where it's going to end up, but that's a minimum. I'm giving you the minimum that we would that we would be going up, and that's over $330,000 just for those two lines. So it puts other cuts that we might make to budgets into perspective. Every little bit helps, of course, but.
Tom, this MMA meeting?
Yes.
I've been to several of those. These usually pretty good crowds, 50, 100. How are we funding this?
Oh, MMA pays for it.
Oh, great. That's good news.
Yeah.
They pay for the staff, they clean up and everything, yeah? They hire a caterer?
I would expect 30 to 50, yes, and they like to use local caterers, so they'll be out for recommendations. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
What day, Tom? What was that date? March what?
March 7th, Friday, March 7th.
What time?
It's usually 8 to 10.
Yeah.
Roughly
Early.
8:30 to 10:30, something like that.
8 to 10 a.m.
Okay, let's move along to future agenda items. Any?
Is the comments from Amy Musanti regarding the sidewalk, is it too late to even consider such suggestions at this time?
Well, I can forward them to the engineers. I know that they thought about where they would propose a sidewalk, and that they have solid reasons for proposing what they have proposed. But I think asking for a statement from them of why they did it would be great, and it would be great to get that up on the Orchard Road webpage.
One thing she was absolutely right on, the sidewalk should be all on one side. I've talked with Bud all about this, and I thought it was planned to be on the east side. And that's where she doesn't want it because of the bunch of property. But evidently, the original plan called for the sidewalk to go down the east side. You get to Pease Avenue, then there'd be a crosswalk there, and then the sidewalk would go up to the west side. I agree with her. I don't think that's a great idea, but that may be an old plan. I thought the up-to-date plan was for totally on the east side.
I'll ask them for comments on their sidewalk placement.
Yeah. That's Bud's the one that involved in this project, right?
He is. I was involved in the conversation about the sidewalk placement
And,
earlier on, so.
Second question is, if we were on the sidewalk but on the east side, do we have to take any property, or would it be in our existing right of way?
So I was just proposing we put this on a future agenda item is all, because I think we need more discussion.
I agree with you. These are the things we should discuss. That's why I mentioned it.
Okay.
We have a right of way that accommodates a sidewalk on the east side.
That may well be part of their decision-making process. The project has gone out to bid, as I reported earlier, so the design that we are proposing is the design that people will be bidding on. It doesn't mean we can't have a change order if there's a change in plan, but I do recall them having solid reasons for
Let's
their
find out what
sidewalk
those reasons are.
proposal.
Yeah.
And I'll get a statement from them.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, well, I don't know, we don't have to drag Bud out all the time, but if our meeting, Bud, that we first have the agenda, to here and tell us what the plans are, and explain them to us.
And then the updated NOI can be added to that future, so we can discuss that.
Okay.
I believe they don't have it yet at the Conservation Commission, so.
Yeah, that should be on the Conservation Commission agenda for their next meeting as well.
Okay. Items not anticipated 48 hours before the meeting. Any? Any remarks of the select board?
I attended,
Oh, yes, thank you.
yeah, so there was the regional school agreement didn't pass in 3 towns, their annual town meetings. That was Hinsdale, Peru, and Cummington, and there was a couple of objections or concerns. One was about the method of incurring debt the method of voting to incur debt. The other was the OPEB liabilities should a member town leave the agreement, the district. And so the committee has reconvened to consider if any additional changes may be warranted to the agreement before sending it back to town voters to revote it at their upcoming town meetings this year, because it failed and it's going to need to be revoted. So that's where I was this morning, and I will update the board as we have more meetings.
If you voted the same agreement.
It may very well be the same agreement. We don't know yet.
All right, thanks, Dan.
Thanks.
Anyone else? Okay.
Well, one other thing, and obviously everyone's vacated the room. So there was a question by an audience member, why wasn't there an apology from the board to the town clerk? And they thought, or an individual board member, they thought, well, I certainly didn't feel the need for myself to personally apologize to the town clerk. I wasn't involved in anything. So I'm just not sure where that came from and why I didn't address it at the moment, to be honest with you. I felt that it's a distraction from all the important work that we have to do right now. And it's frustrating to me that people are expecting individual members of the select board to apologize for something they didn't do. So,
Okay?
Very
well said. This question was totally out of order.
So
I was thinking of responding to it, just didn't do that.
And that's the reason why I didn't want to respond. I didn't want to get into a tit-for-tat argument, but I just want to make a statement at the end of this section of remarks of the select board. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, this leads to the announcements. Want to know more about what's happening in Dalton? Sign up for Paper Town News, our monthly newsletter. Please visit the town website for more information. Dalton Police Department's reminding the citizens of Dalton that the winter parking ban, which goes into effect November 15th, 2024, will be in effect of April 15, 2025, between the hours of 1 a.m. and 6 a.m. During this time, there will be no parking on the streets. There are numerous committees and boards with vacancies, including the Dalton Housing Authority. If you're interested in the Dalton Housing Authority, please call Sue Gregory at 684-2493. For other vacancies, please see the town website, or for more information, reach out to the town's manager's office. The town has contracted Colonial Power to provide an electricity plan for town residents, which have resulted in prices lower than current Eversource prices. For more detail to opt out or in, visit the town websites or call the town manager's office. The town of Dalton currently has the following employment opportunities: assistant town collector and a part-time COV van driver. Please visit the town website or contact the town manager's office for more information. Dalton official meeting postings, agendas, and minutes can be viewed at mytowngovernment.org/01226. The next meeting of the regular select board is scheduled to take place on Monday, February 24th, 2025 at 7 p.m. at the Senior Center with a remote option for participation.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we enter into executive session in accordance with Mass General Law 30A, Section 21A7, to comply with or act under the authority of any general or special law or federal grant aid requirements, namely to review and approve executive session minutes of January 13th, 2025, and General Law 30A, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining, the police sergeants, highway, cemetery, and dispatch union.
And not return to.
And not return to open session.
Sorry.
Okay. Roll call vote. John?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Robert?
Yes.
Bob? Yes. We'll reconvene in 5 minutes in the back room.